Hey, what's up, naughty community? You're back over here at My Naughty Hobby with Amber for another crochet tutorial. And today I'm going to be showing you how to create this lovely look with lines going over your work to create an entirely new texture maybe to you using basic stitches. We're going to be using the single crochet and also a back post double crochet. So this is the look that we are going for here. And I've actually decided to turn this one into a scarf. And so as you can see, my yarn is still attached, but we are going to start from the beginning so you can see exactly what to do. So in order to get this pattern to work up correctly and have your lines straight, we're going to start with a multiple. You have to have your foundation chain be a multiple of 4. So we are going to be chaining 20. You can use any size hook and yarn that you have available. I think today I'm going to be using my 4mm and just some worsted weight yarn. There's 10. 18, 19, and 20. So after you have your chain, we're going to work our foundation row. In our second chain from our hook, this one here, we're going to do 1 single crochet in this chain and in each one across. So at the end, you should have 19 single crochets. Your tail might kind of start to curl on you, but no worries there. After you've worked a few rows, it will uncurl. Hi, Rana. I'm doing pretty good today. Thanks for asking. I feel like this stitch sequence that I'm going to be working up with you guys today is addicting. I started it this morning and had intentions of having a tutorial out on it sooner, but I couldn't put it down. So I hope you guys feel the same way. This will be a good little project for when you're binge watching Netflix or whatever your choice of poison is for TV streaming. Okay, so after we have our foundation done, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work, and this will be considered row 1. And the reason why I'm not considering the foundation chain is because now we're going to start our repeat. So this is going to be a total of 8 rows before you start back over, and this is row 1. Oh, so we're just going to do 1 single crochet into each of our stitches. Like I said, this is going to be a very simple pattern, working with just single crochets and back post double crochets. Hey Rachel, thanks for jumping on today. Okay, so keep in mind when we work this out that every odd row is going to just be a row of single crochets. Every other row, so our even numbers, will all have the front post double crochets in them, and that's going to help you later on as you start to work this out. So at the end of every row, we're going to chain one and then turn our work. And for our first row with the back post double crochets, we will single crochet into the first 3 stitches. Oh, that's woven there pretty tight, that pink is. Now we're going to place our first front post double crochet, but we're not going to go around this single because we want it starting at the end of our work. And I promise you, this is the most, I guess, difficult part of this pattern, is we're going to front post double crochet around our foundation. So I'm inserting my hook from the front here. And if you worked them tight, you might have to wiggle your hook around and then up onto the other side. You'll draw a loop through and then work your double crochet. So front post, double crochet. Now you want to skip the next stitch because we worked into that post. So here, just want to make sure, we're always going to place 3 single crochets between our post stitches. And like I said, this first row is always the most difficult. Let's see here, because sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to see. Sorry you guys, don't mean to be confusing you. I just want to make sure that I went around the right one. This one here, I didn't. So I'm glad that I checked. Because this is our stitch here that we would normally be working into. We want to go underneath. So we're going to this one. Sorry about that, guys. Now you can easily see which one we were skipping. This one here. Oh, I'm all over the place. Three in the next. Front post double crochet. Skip in the next. Working 3 more. Then 3 more. I was going around the wrong one there. And then we're just going to work 3 single crochets. So your first row should look like this, and I know that it's hard to see the slants when the work is this, we're only this far into it. Now that we've done row 2, keep in mind that all of our odd rows are just going to be a row of single crochets. So you chain your work, chain one, turn your work, and then work those 1 single crochets into each stitch. And for those of you who love the written pattern along with videos, I did write out a pattern this time. So after I get the video posted and it's complete, I will pin the written pattern with the little graph chart that I made to the top of the post. Chain 1 and turn your work. Now we're starting on that second row that has the front post double crochets, and this is considered the fourth row. We're always going to start with a single crochet in our first stitch, but we're going to do a total of 4 to start with. One, two, three, and 4. Now our back post double crochets are a lot easier to see and navigate. See how the holes are a little bit bigger on each side? That's where I'm placing those front post double crochets. And no matter which row you're on, in between each of the front post double crochets, you will always have 3 single crochets that you work between, except for in the very beginning of your row and the very end. So now we will place the 3 single crochets . Three, working our front post double crochet here, three singles, now that front post, oop, I think I was going over the wrong one. 1, 2, and 3. And around that front post. Since we're on the 4th, we will skip this one here and then just 2 single crochets. So again, I'll turn it to the side so you can see that texture starting to work up. We're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Single crochet into each of your stitches. If you're working the same practice piece, you should have 19 in your rows. One last single crochet, chain 1 and turn your work. We're now on row 6. So we're going to single crochet in the first. Where did I get off at? I feel like I got off somewhere here. maybe not. Let's see. So we'll single crochet into the first and then front post, double crochet into the next. Remember, in between our front post, we do 3 single crochets. Okay, so we started a new row here. Front post double crochet around our last one, skipping that stitch, working the 3. Making sure we're skipping the right one there. See, we're skipping this one here. Another front post. Three. Work that front post there. Place 1 single crochet into our last stitch. Chain 1 and turn your work. 1 single crochet into each of your stitches across. We're on row 7. Turn your work after you chain 1, and we're going to work our last of this sequence, row 8, single crochet into the first 2 stitches. Now you'll work that front post double crochet over the previous one. Remember to skip that stitch. 1, 2, 3, and then another front post around your previous front post. And then in the last of these ones, because after we do 3 of our single crochets, we don't have anywhere to post to, we are going to do 4 single crochets along the last 4 stitches. I'll work another sequence with you guys, but before I do that, it only seems to really work when I hold it to the side that you can see the texture that we're creating. I'm going to show you the little chart, and it's kind of bad. But for me, it helps visually to see it. So down here, these are considered chains. So these are the chains that we did. this one being my turning chain where the arrow is. And when you look at it, like I said, in between our front post double crochets that you see here in the blue, there's 3 single crochets. That's what the X signifies. The only place that those are changing, like I said, was at the beginning and the ends of our rows. Everything else stays very consistent through this entire pattern, no matter what length that you're making it, as long as you're staying within a multiple of 4 minus 1 for your beginning chain. Unless, of course, you're doing a foundation row and then you would want to, you know, do your foundation stitches a multiple of 4 minus 1 in order for it to get to work it out correctly. So let's work one more of those sequences and you'll start to get a feel for this pattern real quick. So we're starting back over at, we just finished the row of front posts. So now we just have the row of single crochets. This would be considered row 1. On my end, my internet just hiccuped over here. Hopefully, I still have you guys on. So row 1 is just a row of single crochets. Chain 1 and turn your work. For row 2, use single crochet in the first 3 stitches. 2, 3. And then front post double crochet. See which one you need to skip. This one here. 3 more single crochets. Remember, the only place that how many single crochets changes is the beginning and also the end of these rows. And then we end with 3 single crochets over the last 3 stitches. Chain 1, turn your work. Single crochet into each stitch. This is row 3. All of our odd rows are just a row of single crochets. The end, chain 1 and turn your work. We're now starting on row 4 and we are going to single crochet into the next 4 stitches. Front post double crochet and then start that repeat pattern of single crocheting into the next 3. 1, 2, 3. Front post, another 3 until the end. When I flip my work over like that, it's to make sure that I'm skipping that stitch. Sometimes if you start working it a little bit too tight, it can throw off the whole look if you place your single crochets in the wrong spot. Then when we start with 4, we will end with just 2 single crochets over the last 2. Chain 1, turn your work. For row 5, it's an odd row, 1 single crochet into each. Chain 1, turn your work. We're now going to be working row 6. Do 1 single crochet in your first stitch, and then over this one here, we're going to start another row of those front post double crochets. So there's that one there. Make sure you skip that one and start our pattern over again. 3 single crochets and a front post. So for row 6, we're going to do that back post. There, that back post double crochet, skip 1, and then just 1 single. Row 7, odd number, 1 single crochet into each stitch. Okay, we're on our final row of the sequence. You're in a chain 1, turn your work. We're going to, excuse me, single crochet in the first and the second, and then start our pattern sequence over again, because we created that half post double crochet, the last one there. Skip that stitch, work the 3, all right, and again on this last one of our sequence, we don't have anything to post to for it to work upright, so you work the 4 single crochets into our last stitches there. You would chain 1, turn your work, do another row of single crochets across for row 1, and continue on the pattern. Again, I'm going to bring up this written pattern so you can see. If you're visual like I am, this might really help. You will always have the 3 single crochets between your front posts. The only time that it changes are at the beginning and ends of your rows. And if you're, prone to reading chicken scratch, if you want to take a screenshot of the written, if you don't want to wait for me to type it up for you guys, the reason why you see on my even rows, I have these numbers circled so I know how many I'm putting at the beginning and at the end, because those are the only things that changes. Again, you see here on round 4, you'll start with the 4 single crochets and then you end with 2. So on and so forth. Sorry, I didn't have that last one showing. That's probably better. My handwriting is terrible. I should have written this out nicer before I showed you guys. But that's about it for this tutorial. I'm going to kind of look through comments, make sure I'm not missing any questions. If you did ask a question and I didn't get to it though, feel free to shoot me a message and I will get back to you. Here's a lovely pattern that we've created. And here's the scarf that I'm working on using that same one. You can see the texture. I hope that you guys picked up your hook and decided to follow me along today. So I don't know what the technical name of this stitch sequence would be. They're slanted lines, and that's why I titled the video as slanted lines, but who knows? I'm sure I'm not the first person to put this together, so there could be another name that it goes by out there. Anyways, my little dude has been entirely too quiet during this live tutorial. Usually he comes in, pops in, and says hello to me at least once, so I better jump off and go see what he's up to. Thanks to everybody who is following along with me, though, and hopefully finding these tutorials helpful. Every time you say something or react to my post, it really encourages me to keep creating for you guys. So, like I said, hope y'all are having a wonderful Thursday. Happy hooking, and I'll catch y'all real soon. See you later. Better nails next time, too. Ah!